was last year, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So you're still interested? Okay. The universe keeps me very busy, and so I don't always get to everything on time, but I do get to everything. And actually, lately I've been declining media interviews, like with the news, just because life has been too busy. But you were a request that's been there for a while. So you're 13 now, not 12?
I'm 12.
You're still 12. Okay. So pleased to meet you. I'm Neil. Okay. So tell me about what's going on.
Don't look at me. You tell them.
Right. She's got nothing to do with this. Well, you must be are you the mom?
I am the mom. I'm Heather.
Hello, Heather.
Hi.
You're the one in whose account this is.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and your name?
My name is Ella.
Hello, Ella. Hi, I'm Neil. Neil Tyson. So, what's up?
What?
Tell them about yourself.
Hi.
Do you still have a newspaper, an online newspaper? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And what kind of stuff do you write about in it?
Lots of stuff, like, just sort of really cool stuff that I find out about.
Like what?
Like, there was one about why you can't go faster than the speed of light, and one, like, and also when we go places, like, we went to the Georgia Aquarium, which is the biggest aquarium in the U.S., so it tells you a bunch of stuff.
So where do you live?
In Austin.
Austin, Texas? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, what part of town?
Well, we're in Dripping Springs, which is sort of weird because it's far away from Austin, but still close.
Yeah, I was in Austin a long time ago, back before they had traffic helicopters, because there was no traffic, and back when they just finished building Mopac, and everyone argued why it was built at all, because no one used it. People were riding bicycles up and taking walks up and down on it, and now it's like a really big city. So
It is.
it's changed. Yeah. So the stuff that goes in your online paper is all science?
Not all science. It has other stuff too, but mostly.
So you like science? Yeah, science is cool. I agree. And what grade are you in right now?
I'm in 6th grade.
And is that the first grade of a middle school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's like 6, 7, 8, and then you go to high school? So what's the name of your middle school?
Dripping Springs Middle School.
I could guess. I suppose I could have guessed that. Yeah. So what other subjects do you like?
I like science and math mostly, but also this class for an elective called Design Tech, which is an engineering class, and we get to build stuff. Like right now we're working on a lunar rover.
Cool, except it's going to operate on Earth, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless you find a way to launch it there. Do you know the acronym STEM? It's an acronym. Well, you know what an acronym is?
Mm-hmm.
Because people confuse abbreviations with acronyms. An acronym, you have to be able to pronounce it. So NASA is an acronym. And SCUBA is an acronym. Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. LASER is an acronym. You know what it stands for? What?
I don't know.
Did you ever know?
Yeah, at one point around the
Okay,
time of
so
the science.
it's light amplification by the stimulated emission of radiation. So all acronyms, and so STEM is a modern acronym now. Have you heard it before?
Mm-hmm.
They use it a lot in Washington when it's time to look for funding, and it's science, technology, engineering, and math. So the fact that you said you like science and you like math, and you're on this elective where you do engineering things, that's like most of what STEM is. So you're a STEM poster girl, right? Here she is taking STEM classes, right? So congratulations. You'll be a highly sought after person in high school and in college if you keep that up. But I presume we have this because you were going to interview me instead of me interviewing you. Do you have questions?
Yeah.
Listen.
Start with your first one.
So you went to college in Austin some of the time. What was your favorite part of being in Austin?
Yeah, I got my master's degree in Austin, right? So after high school, you go to college and you get a bachelor's degree, and then you get a master's degree, and if you keep going, you get a PhD. And so I got my PhD back here at Columbia. My favorite part of Austin was I would get phone calls from my relatives in New York in the winter, in January or February, and it would be 65, 70 degrees in Austin. And so I really liked that. I also liked the fact that at the time, it didn't take too much money to eat very well. I could get a good lunch or a good dinner for $6 or $10. And I liked the affordability of the town. I also liked Barton Springs. I liked Hippie Hollow. They still have Hippie Hollow?
Yes, they do.
Okay. I liked Hippie Hollow just because it was such a throwback to an older era. So, and have you seen the T-shirts that say "Keep Austin Weird"? I don't know if it's still weird because when you get big, it's harder to stay weird. But I very much enjoyed those things about Austin. Plus, I met the woman who became my wife. You know? So I have important memories there. And do you know what county you're in?
Hayes.
Hayes.
Oh, okay. So you're outside of Travis County, which is what Austin is in.
We used to.
How far away from Austin are you?
We're technically in the city of Austin. We're just in Hayes County.
In one county?
Pardon?
So Austin spans more than one county?
Yes. And
Okay.
we were in downtown Austin until a year ago.
Okay, so my son, who is also 12, is named Travis because of I met my wife in Travis County. So, and he's a little weird, so maybe he got some of the Austin weirdness in him. So other questions?
You got lots of letters from angry little kids about Pluto.
Yeah. And it's pretty funny. I mean, let me see. Hang on a sec. I'll show you something. So I put some of them in this book. This is a book I wrote on Pluto. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one thing is for sure that your generation has awful penmanship. Okay? Awful penmanship. And so my favorite was this letter from Marilyn Trost. And she was, I think, in 4th grade at the time. Because all the angry kids were like elementary school, second. That's when you first learn about the solar system, right? And where did it go? So I have it's not quite a full file cabinet, but it's many files of these angry letters. And, they were friendly angry. There's a letter I just got, and I've been meaning to get to scan it and then be able to show people. Okay, so here's a letter from Marilyn Trost. She says, "Dear Scientist," spelled it. She's in 4th grade. What do you call Pluto if it's not a planet anymore? If you make it a planet again, then all the science books will be right. Do people live on Pluto? If there are people who live there, then they won't exist. She couldn't quite figure it out. You're in 6th grade. You know the difference between demoting a planet and the planet entirely from the solar system. It's small, but that doesn't mean it can't be a planet anymore. Some people like Pluto. And if it doesn't exist, then they won't have a favorite planet. So please write back, but not in cursive because I can't read in cursive. So I got a letter from someone in college who apologized for the letter he sent when he was in elementary school. And it was a serious letter. He said, "When I was in 3rd grade, I didn't like when you demoted Pluto, and I called you a poo-poo head. And I apologize for calling." So that was a great letter. It was very straightforward. And he says, now I understand what you did. So a whole druffle.
Have you ever read, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or Harry Potter or any books like that?
Parts of Hitchhiker's Guide. I waited for the movie to come out, and then I saw that. And I've seen every Harry Potter film because my daughter was a big fan of Harry Potter, and so she dragged me to all the movies. So I'm more Harry Potter fluent than I'd otherwise be for someone my age, right?
Do you?
My radio show, I interviewed Snape, the actor who plays Snape. If you Google Star Talk Radio, and then what's his name? The actor's name.
Alan Rickman.
Google Star Talk Radio and Rickman. It'll go straight to that interview, and we talk a little bit about the technology that made, because of course it needed a lot of special effects. So yes, I count myself.
I think we've listened to that one.
Oh yeah, okay. So you're already there. Yeah. Okay, what else?
Do you think that string theory is like a reasonable theory? Because I mean, especially the parallel universes part, because that would mean that anything that is fiction is actually true because it's a possibility.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, so what if there's an infinite number of universes? I mean, it doesn't bother me. I don't have emotions invested in whether or not that's true. So, in string theory, that can be a consequence of string theory, but they're really just trying to understand, how the universe got here, and also what's going on in the center of a black hole. But I think they've overstated the likelihood that anything could exist, because there are some infinities that are bigger than others. And I think the infinity that's required to have every possible world exist, and every possible kind of human, and there's a version of you, except you have blonde hair instead of brown hair or dark hair. I think that needs a higher level infinity than just having an infinite number of universes. So it's an interesting concept that we have rankings of infinity. And if you're interested and you like math, it's a fun thing to read about. And there's a book I recommend where they talk, it's still in print. It was written 60 years ago, and it's still in print, and it was one of the most influential books on my life when I was 12. And it's called, what's it called? Mathematics and the Imagination. So check that out. Okay? And it's and there's a whole chapter there on which infinities are bigger than others, and so then you'll get a sense of that. So yeah, there could be other universes, sure. Why not? When we thought there was only one Earth and we found out there were other planets, and then we thought the sun was special, then the stars in the night sky turned out to be just like the sun, and then Milky Way, well, that's special. No, that's just our galaxy, and there's 50 billion other galaxies. Well, our universe, maybe that's special. Well, the track record doesn't indicate this.
Have you ever been to the Large Hadron Collider?
No, but I have visited. We have a collider here in New York, in Long Island, the Brookhaven National Labs, and I just looked at one of those rings. It blew me open. I mean, just a piece of just a machine that size. Most machines are human-sized, right? A computer, a hand drill, a car, even an airplane. It's designed for humans. This machine is designed for physics, and the Large Hadron Collider is even bigger. So I've come to embrace and be taken by the sheer scale of experiments.
So you did an entire NOVA episode on going to Mars, but if you were given the opportunity to go to Mars, would you actually go to Mars?
Yeah, as long as we had budget to bring me back. One of the one-way trippers. Plus, I'd want to bring my whole family. I don't want to go leave my family for 3 years just to explore Mars. If that's the kind of life I was going to lead, I wouldn't marry and have kids. So I'd bring everybody, and nowadays you just get a Netflix account or get some good video games. you're the same age as my son, so I assume you play video games, and I could leave him in a room for 9 hours. Okay. And I have to like wake him up to like eat, snap him out of his video game stupor. Great vocabulary word, stupor. Stupor is like you're completely zoned and your eyes are spiral and you're hypnotized by it. So we just have a fun vacation, a Mars vacation. Wait, hang on a sec. Oh, okay. My car is ready. Okay, so what else?
Do you think that it's possible that, how do you think life started on Earth? Because there's the panspermia theory where it traveled on meteoroids and got here, but then there are some others too. So
The thing about panspermia is, even if that's how life got here, you still have to explain how life got to the place it came from to be panspermia. So the problem of the origin of life still remains an interesting frontier in biology, whether or not there's panspermia caused it or whether it happened just here on Earth. So life happened very quickly here on Earth, within just a couple of 100 million years, which sounds long to a human lifespan, but that's just practically a snap of the finger in the history of the universe. So whatever challenges we have creating life from non-life in the laboratory, nature seemed to have no problem with it at all. So that gives us some hope and expectation that we'll get there.
do you have like a favorite particle? Because your favorite type of atom is carbon, but do you have like a favorite piece of a particle or like a quark or something?
I think quarks are awesome. Right? And I just came out with a video series, just came out 6 months ago, called The Inexplicable Universe. And it's I get up in front of a camera and I deliver 6 lectures. And it's everything that is spooky that we don't yet understand in astrophysics and physics and biology and the universe in general. And I comment on quarks. Quarks only ever come in pairs. We've never found a single quark. And if you try to separate the pair of quarks, that takes energy to do it because they're really clinging to each other. So to pull them apart is like stretching a rubber band. That takes energy. Just about when you've separated them, they snap apart and spontaneously create another pair to go with the piece that you just pulled apart. And they spontaneously do it because the energy you gave it goes through the E equals mc squared equation and comes out with mass on the other side. So the fact that you put in energy to separate gave him energy to create 2 new particles. And so now you have 4 quarks, 2 pairs of quarks instead of 1 pair. I think that's amazing. And this is the kind of thing we talk about. So quarks are just fun as a fundamental constituent of matter. Electrons are kind of cool too because they're smaller than our capacity to measure small. There's nothing as small as an electron, and we don't know how small it is. We've not gotten there yet. For all intents and purposes, it could have 0 size. We don't know. So an electron is an interesting thing that we just have a word for, and we use it in our electricity, but there's still mysteries surrounding the electron. And in any case, you gotta love Higgs boson. You gotta love it. And have you heard the big Higgs boson joke?
Maybe. I know one, but
What's the one you know?
it's Higgs bosons really give me hadron. But
Okay. Good. There's another one. There's a friend of mine who came up with it, but then, jokes, as they get around, you lose track of who does it. This guy's name is Brian Mallow, M-A-L-O-W, and he has a Twitter handle called Science Comedian on Twitter. So he comes up with these jokes. So a Higgs boson walks into a church. The priest says, "I'm sorry, we don't allow Higgs bosons in the church." And the Higgs boson said, "You have to let me in because without me, you have mass." So I thought that. So I would say a quark if I had to pick a particle. Yeah.
Who would you blame for the Pluto thing? Because lots of people blame you for the Pluto thing, but
The most visible person, but I was an accessory to the crime. I drove the getaway car, but I didn't commit the crime. If Pluto had it coming, and there are a lot of bits of evidence that told us this, and in the Pluto files, I track bit of evidence by bit of evidence, and you reach a tipping point where you just can't keep holding on to it as a planet anymore, and you just got to say, Pluto, we're putting you over here. There, it's with other icy, tiny bodies in the outer solar system. So, I try to tell people it's not my fault, but that they should get over it.
have you ever tried to send something to space, like when you were, a kid? Did you ever try to send something up into the atmosphere, into space?
When I was 13, I had some model rockets, and you go to a big open area, and there are a few wide open areas in New York, and you have these little rocket engines, and you ignite them, and it rides up a wire so that it goes up straight, and then when it hits its top of the path, there's usually a parachute inside, and you can send payloads up. One of them has a visible payload section, so you could put. When I was a kid, we used to put little frogs in there. But the problem is really powerful engines. Frogs don't make it. The acceleration is too high, and they just get flattened against the back of the rocket. So, in retrospect, the poor frog, but it was really fun. But I didn't think, I had no expectation of going to orbit or anything. It was just, went up higher into the atmosphere. It went so high you couldn't see it, and it only began to notice it when the parachute deployed, and then it became large enough to watch the thing fall.
What's your favorite freeze-dried food? Because during the Nova series, you ate a lot of the stuff that was at NASA. And
Yeah, I would say of their food that I ate, it was the shrimp cocktail. That was good. They figured that one out. The rest was like cafeteria, like school cafeteria food, and nasty. If have you ever been camping?
Mhm.
Okay, like overnight camping or just camping? Okay, have you ever noticed that even simple food while you're camping tastes really good? Like hike 30 miles, and then it's time for dinner, and you bring out like a can of beans, you go over the fire. It just tastes so good. But if you're like at a restaurant, you're not saying, "Oh, I'd like a can of beans, please." You do. So there's something about being hungry and sort of earning the food that adds extra flavor value to the food. So I think if you're in space, all those foods will taste better because you're nowhere near a fancy restaurant or mom's cooking. Does your mother cook? Okay.
But my dad doesn't think she's very good at it sometimes because she burns bacon.
What's Dad say? Yeah.
What was your first thought on neutrinos when you heard that they could go supposedly at or faster than the speed of light?
Oh yeah, it was immediately a mistake in the experiment. So many other experiments that show that nothing goes faster than light, that while it's possible that they could demonstrate this because their experiment is bigger and badder than anybody else's experiment that came before it, and usually if you discover something new in physics, it's because you have new equipment. So there was a possibility it took us to a new place, but it is so well established that to break a well-established rule requires extraordinary circumstances. And so I sensed that it was just a mistake. And it ultimately turned out to be a mistake. Yeah.
Why do you think that there's, so most of the observable universe, as far as we know, is made of, positively charged matter. So
matter rather than antimatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do you think that it's like that? Because really, it should seem like it would be that there would be an equal amount of each. But
Correct, because that's how matter, when you have energy and it makes matter with E equals mc squared, it always makes a positive, the matter and an antimatter pair. Everything comes in pairs when you do it on your own. In the early universe, something happened that remains mysterious. We have a term for it. We just call it symmetry breaking. Because if you make matter and antimatter, there's a symmetry there. And if you make a particle and there's no antimatter counterpart, you've broken a symmetry. There was a moment in the early universe where that symmetry was broken. And it remains one of the interesting, mysterious moments in the early universe. We've also called it what's called a phase transition. And in a phase, you're already familiar with a phase transition. Suppose you only ever lived in a world where the temperature was always 72 degrees. And then I invite you here to Earth. And then I put a bucket of water in front of you. And I drop the temperature. And the temperature goes below freezing. You're cold, so I give you a jacket. But all of a sudden, this liquid becomes solid. That's really freaky if you've never seen that before. Just think about how extraordinary that is. You live a life, water is liquid, I drink it. And by magic hand waving, I can make it solid. That's a phase transition. The water has completely changed its properties. And so we suspect that in the early universe, conditions were such that even the laws of physics changed their properties. And that's the kind of things that were going on in the early universe, and that's one of the things that make it mysterious. And I talk about this phase transition in those videos, the mysterious universe.
So do you think that
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know. What do you think would happen? Because there are a bunch of different opinions on what would happen if you went into a vacuum. Like, some people say your blood would boil, but then some people say it wouldn't because of the pressure and the insulation of your skin. But what do you think would happen if you got sent into a vacuum without any protection?
Oh, you would die suffocation first. Yeah, your blood will eventually boil, but like you said correctly, the skin contains it for a while, and I don't know how much time you spent at high altitude, but when you go, it takes some adjustments. Your eyes can become bloodshot because the pressure inside your eye is no longer balanced with outside, so things have to adjust. Your ears pop, that sort of thing. So if you go into a vacuum, those are more severe, but you're dead in 10 minutes if you don't breathe. So that's what you should care about, getting oxygen, not whether your blood will boil. Oh, another thing, in space, while there's no air, so you don't feel the temperature of air on your skin, you'll feel radiative energy, photons from the sun. So the side of you facing the sun will get very hot. The side of you facing away from the sun will get very cold. So what you want to do is sort of rotate, like a rotisserie. And that way you can sort of share the warmth with your whole body while you try to find oxygen to breathe.
What? Thank you. My mom says that it's time for me to go.
Well, thanks for your question. Sorry it took so long to set this up, but like I said, the universe has been keeping me quite busy lately. Do you have is there an icon of you on the same screen that I'm on right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why don't you drag it next to me and you can take a screen capture? Okay. So can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know how to do a screen capture?
Uh-huh.
Command Shift 4. Okay, so we all lined up? Okay, so you look.
Except it's not really working.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Command Shift 4.
Which way are you? Is this the direction you're in?
I'm this direction. Yeah.
That way?
No, the other way.
So am I
Yeah.
pointing to you right now? Okay, so I'll go like this.
Wait. Wait.
Command Shift 4.
Okay. Command Shift. Ah, what happened? I don't know.
Command Shift 4. Sorry. Command Shift 3. Okay.
Okay.
Do it.
Yep.
Wait, not yet.
Not yet.
Oh.
There we go. Now we got it.
Entire screen. Command Shift 4 allows you to create a window on your own, and then the moment you create the window, so it's on. On your desktop. There's a PGN file, which is something graphical something. But it's just like JPEG.
Yeah.
And then you have that. Okay. Well, good luck with this. Science is cool. You know way more science than most 12-year-olds. And so we would hope and expect that you can survive middle school. Big challenge. Because people get really creepy and weird middle school, and you have to survive that, and then you go to high school, and high school is weird too. Just count how many movies there are about kids in high school, and all the pressures you're under, the social pressures, and am I pretty, am I not, am I the cheerleader, do they like me, am I in this club, or that club, and this, and how come, and so try to survive that, come out on the other end a scientist, so. Okay, well, pleased to meet you. And Mom, thanks for helping us set this up.
Oh, thank you very much. It was an
Okay.
honor.
All right, we'll see you. Good luck in school.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.